In the United States, I think we are on the path to not having restaurants in 5 years. It sounds ridiculous, it sounds crazy, but hear me out. All of these places are not making money. Nobody is going. There is no lines out the doors, okay? Unless it is right downtown on the middle of Main Street. If you are not in that prime area, your restaurant's dead. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. And it's absolutely crazy. I don't know how it's going to get better. I don't know how wait staff, bartenders, I don't know how they're making any money, especially with the cost of living going up, how they're even surviving, how they can afford to live in the cities. And if your wait staff can't afford to live in the cities and they have to be farther and farther out, there's going to be a point where they stop making that commute. So who's going to work all these jobs? The old retirees who moved here with $1 bajillion? Absolutely not. So I don't think this is a system that is going to work for much longer, which I think is insane. And from a consumer standpoint, I get it. Inflation, tip inflation, all of it. It is just conspiring against the whole thing of going out to restaurants or bars. And these third spaces that we have, which are places that we can hang out, communicate and talk with other humans, listen to live music, all that great stuff, they're going to go away. And it's just going to be wake up, go to work, come home, go to sleep, do the same thing every day with nothing in between. And it's just going to be a horrible monotony. So I think this is a bad thing. And with grocery prices going up and tariffs going up and nothing seeming to come back down, I think it's only going to get worse. What do you think? Where you live in the world, are restaurants still busy? Is there change in the air? Can you afford to eat out anymore? Let me know. I would love to hear what you think, because one thing's for sure. The way things are going right now cannot go on forever, because this is not sustainable.
We are experiencing a complete decline in chain sit-down restaurants like TGI Fridays, Outback, Red Lobster. All of those are losing tons of money, closing lots of different locations. And it's not just about food. I want to explain how this trend reveals something really profound about how our relationship with community is changing and likely getting worse. Casual dining chains, places where middle-class families could walk in without a reservation and have a meal at a relatively affordable price, have been in a steady decline throughout the 21st century. Last year alone, I think TGI Fridays and Red Lobster filed for bankruptcy. And this isn't necessarily just about Americans spending less money at restaurants. We're actually still spending the same amount as ever, studies have shown. But we're seeing trends where people are buying food made by restaurants and eating it elsewhere. So like the rise of these specific kind of to-go chains like Sweetgreen, Kava, through delivery apps, through drive-thrus, takeout services, those have become ingrained habits, and those have risen at the sacrifice of these other chain sit-down restaurants. And these restaurants have traditionally provided a third space for a lot of communities. These social environments kind of separate from your home or your work, where communities can form, social capital develops. Maybe you're meeting people at these places. Maybe you're just having more bonding time with your family. And the decline of these restaurants represents not just a changing in dining preferences, but a fundamental shift in how we're building connections. If most of the way that we consume food is walking into a place, grabbing a to-go bag, walking back to our apartment alone and eating it, or just getting it delivered straight to our door, that radically is different in the way that we interact with other people and build community and are just outside of the home. When you go out to a restaurant and sit down, it can be a little bit more annoying. Sometimes the food's delayed. You obviously have to interact with a lot of different people, like the waiter, the hostess, maybe the people sitting around you. But that is building kind of weak community ties that could actually end up being very strong and good for your mental well-being, compared to ordering delivery where you're just clicking a bunch of things on a phone and someone comes and drops the food off. Half the time you don't even see the delivery person, and it's a very isolated experience, and it can erode our feeling of community around us. And another piece is that, yes, people are still eating out, but when these kind of more affordable chains become priced out, certain groups of people, like middle and lower income people, will eat out less if the only other option is more expensive dining options. Something I also want to add about the rise of apps is that we all have a diminished capacity now for sustained, uninterrupted engagement. We are constantly distracted due to social media, due to all the notifications on our phones, and the time of a sit-down meal feels increasingly costly in the market of digital distraction. For a lot of people, they cannot sit for an unsustained amount of time and eat a meal. They just have to have their phone kind of with them. They have to be watching something at the same time that they're eating. And so what is so significant about all this is that it accelerates the autonomization of social experience. So when meals become about individual consumption rather than a shared social ritual, which historically they have been a shared ritual, you typically are eating with other people, we are losing very important opportunities for connection that our psychological well-being really depends on. And like, obviously, like some of these chains, like whether you like the food or not, it's about recognizing how changes in consumption patterns reflect and reinforce shifts in how we experience community. And as these communal spaces disappear, we need to be intentional about creating new opportunities for genuine human connection. And if you're interested in how consumer behavior, money psychology interacts with cultural and social issues, I write about this all the time in my newsletter. You can sign up in the link in my bio.
I feel like I am cursed. I feel like I shouldn't film outside because literally everything I do does not work in my favor. Literally, I come to an empty parking lot. All of a sudden, 10 cars wants to come up. All of a sudden, there's so much parking space, but literally right next to me. Why? Why are you next to me? Literally go five spots down. Oh my gosh. Like, okay, there's hella people walking by. So then I stop filming and I'm like, cleaning up my car. And then all of a sudden they're gone. And I'm like, okay, let me take my time and then clean up my car because low key, I don't know if it's OCD, but once I start cleaning, I can't stop cleaning. And I'm like cleaning and I'm like, oh wait. Now that I see it, there's like the cars are gone. And then now I'm gonna film. I put my phone, bam! 5 more cars. Bam! 3 people fucking walking by. And then all of a sudden, Mother Nature does not want to work with me because now, okay, now she wants to work with me. Now I could film. Now I could see myself filming. Now it's good lighting. Oh my god. I need to calm down. Calm down. It's the same thing as when you go into a restaurant that had no people, but all of a sudden there's like 10 people walking in. If I come to an empty fucking parking structure, all of a sudden like 20 people want to come up. Like, oh my god. I get that it's peak hour right now, but like, oh my god, go to a different parking structure.
Someone explained to me why when I go to a restaurant that's relatively empty, they will sit me right next to the only other people there. Like, right next to them. Is that necessary? I understand there's sections for servers, but like, can we be 2 tables over? Like, that's only like 3 steps. It's got to be in the same section. Especially when I have my kids, like, I just feel bad for the other people. Like, my kids are great at restaurants, but they're still noisier than like a normal adult. They're still dropping food on the ground. I don't know, like, can we just have a little space? It's not that big of a deal. I'm not being asked to be seated by myself across the restaurant, but why do we need to sit like right next to the only other people there? There's plenty of empty tables.
The going to a restaurant culture, that era is about to end. And the reason why that era is about to end is because people are not going to restaurants like they used to. The cost of living is just too high. Don't nobody got time no more to just be spending all their money on restaurant food. And then it's like they can't get the same service that they used to get back in the past when the service was better. The service ain't the same no more. And then on top of that, you got to be careful how you tip, which I didn't know. Some waiters would do that. Sometimes you got to check your card because the average person is not going to check their card. So if you put $1 or $2 on your receipt for a tip, make sure you put 2.00. If you just put 2 on there and leave it blank, the waiter will intentionally put 20 on there. So if you're not checking your bank account, don't know how much you spent, they'll put that on there. And I didn't know that because this is crazy. I always make sure I put the amount on my receipt. So if you're not aware of that, make sure you be more aware because they will take advantage of you. And that's why a lot of restaurants are becoming empty. People are feeling like they're being taken advantage of. They shouldn't have to spend an arm and leg just to eat at the restaurant. You know? Things have changed. And people do not want to pay the price. I get it. They can't afford to. Everything is just still going up. Car insurance is just sky high. Rent is just sky high. Don't make no sense. And people are still struggling. When is the economy going to get better? That's the part we've been waiting on for a long time. We've been waiting longer than ever for this economy to change. And I don't understand it. A lot of us don't understand it. And then it's like the restaurants used to be full. You used to have to wait a long time to get your meal. It's not like that no more. People rather eat fast food restaurants than regular restaurants. They feel like it don't make a difference now. They used to like getting that quality of eating at a restaurant. They feel like they don't get the same appreciation as a customer. They're not valued. And they putting parking fees with your bill, gratuity. They putting all that. When did this become in effect? I never knew this. I never knew restaurants was out doing this. It's just greed at an all-time high. That's what I think. I want to know what y'all think. Because I don't know how much longer this is going to last. I think if this continues to happen, restaurants are going to collapse. They're going to become obsolete. With everything done by AI, people are not even in the mood to go to the restaurants. The restaurants used to be in the same category as going to the movies. You remember when you used to be able to go to the movies and have a good time just to get out? You used to be able to do that the same way for a restaurant. But millions are refusing to do that. That's why when you look up, your favorite restaurants are empty now. Every time I go to these particular restaurants, it's just one IHOP I go to all the time. It's always 2 tables of people in there. And I don't know how they stay in business. Because every time I go in there, it's not a lot of business. Unless it's a lot of people doing carryouts. I'm not sure. But I didn't know it was going to get this bad. But you never know. Times are changing. Things are just happening rapidly. And it just don't make no sense. You can't even have a good time no more. That's the strange part. And the waiters always got an attitude. Don't want to help you. Don't even acknowledge you when you come in. I don't know. What's wrong with the energy? The energy has shifted. And I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. It's like, no matter what happens, you still be having to check your order. Because your order might not be how you wanted it. You might get some food. It's not the same food that you ordered. It's a little different. It's like people try to memorize things when all they got to do is write it on a piece of paper. so they can get the order right instead of just trying to memorize it and then it don't come out right. There's nothing wrong with that. Writing it on the paper. People being mean, acting like they hate their job. So I get it. I see why a lot of people are just fed up. They just don't want to go to the restaurants no more. They don't want to deal with the attitudes. They don't want to deal with the chaos. Can you blame them? If you was in these customers' shoes, how would you feel? If every time you got up and went out and went to a restaurant, you didn't feel welcome. And it's starting to get like that. And it's starting to happen more and more often. And that's the sad part, you know? And I ain't been to my favorite restaurant in a long time. I love Chili's. But it ain't been the same no more. Let me know what's y'all favorite restaurant. What was y'all last experience? Has the service changed? That's what I want to know. And prices are way too high for the service not to be the same. That's the terrifying part. So let me know how y'all feel about this one. Leave it in the comments. And I'm going to see y'all on the next one. Because it's about to collapse these restaurants real soon. Peace.